Okay, I'm repairing an older AI prime lens here. I'm warning you that if you try to do this, I'm giving you a serious warning not to do it. You won't have much of a problem getting it all apart. There are 13 screws total. It depends on the AI lens. Most of them are 13 screws with 3 back screws on the bayonet mount, but you're going to have a hard time getting it back together. Here's the helicoid with the dried grease, which I just got done removing. I sprayed it out with a solvent where you can wipe it out, but there's a ton of grease in there originally. I'm not at the point yet where I re-grease it. This lens had been dropped. As you can see right here, you see these little concrete marks. So this lens, the focusing ring was out of round, so not only was the grease dried, but it was binding. And what I did is I took the end of a screwdriver, not the metal end, but the big fat plastic end. I took it right here, and I gave it some sharp wax, and bent that kink out until I get it all back together again. I won't know if I've gotten it totally out, but I believe I do. I've done this before. So, as you can see right there, this lens had been dropped by somebody. So it doesn't have to be glass that's damaged when you drop your lens. You can bend the barrel of your lens, and this focusing ring was dragging. You can see the marks right there. So let's start right here without naming anything. You don't need to know the names of anything. Let's just go by right here in the focusing ring where it says Made in Japan. Take this ring with this little nipple sticking out and stick it about, stick it about to 4 millimeters from Made in Japan right there. Now there's a metal, there's a very thin collar in here that is, it's not glued in, but it's held in so that it lifts up on this one side, but over here it's still intact, which is good. You do not want to dare move that, because that will actually change where your focus points are, so you make sure you do not move that fragile little collar inside the focusing ring, because it is glued there for a reason. Obviously, so your focus marks line up correctly. It won't affect anything if it were to be in the wrong position, but no one would want it like that. Anyway, stick this nipple about 4 millimeters from the Made in Japan, from the M. And this is the tricky part. Yes, I'm doing this reverse order, but handling the camera and getting this back together carefully is not the easiest thing in the world. Now there's a notch right here, you can see it. Okay, and that is where this little nipple fits into. So what you're going to have to do, you can see these 2 screw holes are lining up here. But what you're going to have to do is slowly, not get them all together at the same time. You know those screw holes are lining up. Bring it over here. And of course I'm trying to hold the camera and do 2-3 things at one time. There we go. Right here, get those lined up. Bring it around and make sure that these also line up with the helicoid. So you have to make sure that you're actually lining up 6 screw holes simultaneously. What you do is bringing it in slowly here, lining up the notch, bringing it in. You know these are lining up right here. You can see the 2 screw holes here lining up. Before dragging it all the way in, make sure your screw holes line up there. Great, insert your 3 screws here, and then your 3 screws around your silver ring, 1, 2, and 3. And then I'll go on the next step here in a minute, okay?